Hey everyone, welcome to the Gate 2 guide for the Kazeros Mordum Raid. I will go over major mechanics and some notable attack patterns. The item level requirement for this fight is 1680 for normal mode and 1700 for hard mode. Completing this raid will give you materials for advanced honing similar to Echidna. A normal mode will allow you to advance hone from levels 21 to 30, and hard mode will allow you to advance hone from 31 to 40. I will showcase the rewards for completing this raid on screen now. For battle items, you will bring Dark Grenade, Atropine, and Stimulant if you're playing support. This gate in particular has a unique battle item that can only be attained through the market or by crafting it yourself in your stronghold. If you want to craft it yourself, you will need to complete a Sadavuna task, which I will show on screen now. I've never used a battle item myself and is not needed to defeat the boss. I will discuss the purpose of this battle item later on. Before I dive into the fight, I want to gloss over a major update that happened recently in Lost Ark. All players in a raid that died by lethal damage can revive once in a raid to give you an extra chance to get back into battle. This does not apply to major mechanics, where if the mechanic fails, it wipes the entire raid. This revive system, as of recording this video, applies to all Kazeros raids. At the start of Gate 2, the boss will always jump to a random player's location, stack at the bottom of the map. The boss will start off with 300 lines of HP, and the first major mechanic is time-based. Before I dive into the first major mechanic, I would like to discuss some gimmicks that occur throughout the entire fight. The boss has a variety of attacks that will give you an infection debuff if you are hit and lasts 1 minute. This debuff can stack multiple times. In addition, the boss will gain a buff for every debuff stack that a player has. If the boss gets 15 stacks or more of the buff, any player that has the infection debuff will be imprisoned and the boss will attempt to grab you. Any player that does not have the infection debuff can press G to block the attack. This will repeat 3 times in total. If all players have an infection debuff, or any player without the debuff fails to block the attacks, you will get grabbed and thrown on the ground and take massive damage. This will in return trigger a Devour debuff that lasts 2 minutes with the bar shown above your character. If you get grabbed by the boss again with this debuff, you will die. This Devour buff can also occur due to being hit by other normal patterns that result in a grab. The special battle item I mentioned earlier can help with this gimmick. The Neutralizer battle item affects up to 4 players in your party, including yourself. Upon using it, you will get a buff that lasts 7 seconds. After 7 seconds, it will remove a stack of the infection debuff. However, you cannot use this battle item back to back. If used consecutively within 7 seconds, it will just refresh the 7-second buff, which delays a stack of the infection debuff being removed. In addition, if you use this battle item on someone while they have the 2-minute Devour debuff, it will prevent that player from dying if they get grabbed again within 7 seconds. The second effect is pretty useless. At minimum, 2 players, 1 in each party, should bring this battle item since it can affect the entire party. The last gimmick to discuss is the identity gauge shown at the top left of your screen. During Phase 1 and Phase 2, this gauge will naturally decrease over time. Getting hit by patterns that generate the infection debuff will increase the gauge. The first major mechanic, which is time-based, depends on if the identity gauge is above 50% or below 50%. If the boss is below 50% identity at 12:55 or below on the Berserk timer, the time mechanic will begin where the boss will move to the center of the map and show a red telegraph where middle is safe. Party 1 will gather left side and Party 2 will gather right side. This mechanic is different for both normal and hard mode. For normal mode, once the red telegraph occurs, you will move out with your party and dodge the series of waves and lines that occur. You may also have an aura surrounding your character, which goes away after a brief moment. This aura will deal damage to anyone standing inside of it, so be sure to spread out. At the end of this mechanic, the boss will show a map-wide telegraph with a few safe spots. For hard mode, the start of this mechanic is the same. Party 1 left, Party 2 right. When the red telegraph occurs, move out with your party. A random number of players on either side will get an aura surrounding their character, or a line attached to their character that will lock on after a moment, then explode, dealing heavy damage. The players with the line telegraph need to move away from the players that have the aura. Players with the aura should wait about a second, then stack up together at the edge of the map. After a moment, the players with the aura will have their aura go away, and will lose control of their character and slowly move towards the boss. The players that have control of their character need to soak the waves coming from the middle so that it does not hit the players that have lost control. This is because the waves increase your movement speed. If the players who lost control of their character get hit by multiple waves, they will likely die due to the fog in the middle of the map. After 3 waves occur, the players who do have control of their character will have the line telegraph attached to them again. Bait the telegraph away from the players who are moving to the boss so that they do not get hit. If the boss is above 50% identity at 12:55 or below on the Berserk timer, the time mechanic is different. The boss will show a map-wide telegraph where top of the map is safe. If you happen to get this time mechanic at 12:55 or below on the Berserk timer, it is highly recommended to restart the raid because this mechanic is very annoying, wastes a lot of time, and has a low success rate. You can prevent this from happening by getting used to the infection patterns so that the meter does not reach 50% or higher. You may notice a color icon above your character. It could be gold, white, or purple. 2 players will have gold, another 2 will have white, and another 2 will have purple. This adds up to 6 players with a color icon. The remaining 2 players will not have a color. In addition, 3 players will have a line attached to them. The players with the line will also have a color icon. This line will continue to decrease your movement speed, so players with the same color icon as you need to intercept the line and continue to do so until you reach the bottom of the map. If you fail to reach the bottom of the map in time, you will die. Players that do not have a color should focus on blocking the meteors that pass by. If any players with the color icon get hit by a meteor, they will be brought back to the top of the map and will likely die due to not making it in time. If the identity gauge is 100%, the boss will move to the middle, and all players should also move to the middle. A quick minigame will occur where you will have to press the correct key on your keyboard at the right time while also being dragged to the outside. Outside of the map does massive damage. In a moment, the boss will show a yellow telegraph, and one player needs to purposely stand in the telegraph to get grabbed by the boss. This grab will give you the 2-minute Devour debuff. If you already have this debuff, it will simply refresh the time. Afterwards, the boss will be in the middle with a stagger check that must be completed. Anywhere from 300 to 225 HP lines, you may encounter a special pattern. The boss will flash gold or white and spawn multiple gold and white orbs around him multiple times. Every player should take at least 1 orb of either color. Then you will see 2 safe zones that appear in front of the boss shown as gold and white. Stand inside the safe zone that matches the orb you took. In a moment, the boss will grab a random player in either safe zone. If the boss showed white at the start, he will grab a random player standing in the white circle. Once a player is grabbed, a stagger check will occur, then the attack will finish. If you do not grab an orb during this attack, you will take massive damage. Or if you take an orb but do not go to a safe zone, you will also take massive damage. The next major mechanic happens at 235 HP lines or below and is a little different for both normal and hard mode. The boss will move to the center and show a color, which is gold or white. In addition, every player will have a gold or white color surrounding their character. In a moment, the boss will show white and gold safe spots that you must memorize and go to. For normal mode, it is always going to be inside and outside safe. For hard mode, the safe spots are different. After the telegraphs occur, the boss will show a stagger bar. Complete the stagger check. Then you will notice orbs around the boss that you can kill. When you kill the orbs, a blue orb will spawn that you can take. This blue orb will save you from the final part of this mechanic. However, the only players that need to take the blue orb are the players that do not share the same color as the boss. For example, if the boss showed a gold color at the start and you have a white color, you need to collect a blue orb. After the stagger check, the boss will aggro to a random player, then lock onto that player's position and attempt to grab any player that is in front of the boss. This will give you a Devour debuff if you do not move out. Then the entire mechanic will rinse and repeat one more time, where you have to memorize safe spots and do the stagger check. If you have to collect a blue orb, and you get hit by not going to the correct safe spot, you will lose your blue orb and need to collect one again. Around 215 HP lines or below, your camera will zoom out and the boss will consume Yoho. This will begin phase 2 of the fight. During this phase, additional Yoho patterns will occur. A timed mechanic will occur 2 minutes after this phase starts. It is the same time mechanic as discussed earlier, however, you can use the Mystic Sidereal to trigger a special interaction, which gives you a large window to deal free damage to the boss. The timing for using the Mystic Sidereal is when the boss lands in the middle or at the top of the map. The next major mechanic happens at 105 HP lines or below. This mechanic is a little bit different for both normal and hard mode. The boss will move to the center, and you will see multiple clones of the boss at the edge of the map. Some players will notice a golden circle underneath a few clones. Players who can see the golden circles must ping those locations. Any clone that is pinged twice will be the correct clone to go to, or the clone that does not perform a telegraph is also the correct one to go to. In normal mode, the clone will always require a counter. Failing the counter will deal damage and knock back all players. Hard mode is basically the same, except half of the raid will be split into a separate dimension, and the correct clone will either be a Just Guard attack that needs to be blocked or a counter attack. Both sides will have to deal with the clone to prevent damage and knockback. Anyone that is in the separate dimension cannot see yellow or blue flash for Just Guard or counter. You have to pay attention to the clone's animation to figure out if it's a Just Guard or counter. If the clone flaps his wings, it will be a Just Guard. If the boss looks like he is charging up an attack with one of his arms, that will be a counter attack. If you complete the Just Guard or counter attack, you will obtain a stagger buff. The clone attack will occur 2 times in total, then the boss will be in the center with the stagger check that you must complete. When you complete this mechanic, a cutscene will occur, then phase 3 will start. There are no more major mechanics, however, a timed attack will occur every 1 minute and 30 seconds until the boss is dead. The boss will move to the center and perform a Volgano's pattern. Everyone should stack up at 6 o'clock because the first safe spot is always going to start from 6 o'clock. Pay attention to the direction of the swirl, clockwise or counterclockwise, and move to the pizza safe spots in that direction to prevent taking damage. This attack will repeat 5 times, meaning you have to go to 5 safe spots in total. In hard mode, the boss will show a swirl telling you where to go, but you will also see pizza telegraphs that are purple and black. Purple you will ignore entirely, just pretend it isn't there. Memorize where the black telegraphs are, as this will tell you that you need to go to the opposite direction. If the black telegraph is at 6 o'clock, you will start at 6 o'clock but go the opposite direction of the swirl. For example, in this clip, the purple tile is at 6 o'clock, which I will ignore. The swirl is going clockwise, and the black tiles are at 3 and 9 o'clock. Since we are going clockwise, once we arrive at 9 o'clock, we will start going counterclockwise to then arrive at 6 o'clock again. You can ignore this timed attack entirely by using your Hyper Awakening. Now that we have discussed all major mechanics and time patterns, let's go over some notable attacks that happen throughout the fight. These are the patterns that can give you an infection debuff. I will only go over the most important ones. This pattern gives a lot of infection debuff stacks. The boss will breathe in front while moving backwards. Follow the boss while staying behind him. The boss will glow while breathing in front of him, turning 180 degrees and moving at the same time. Pay attention to where he is turning. A red telegraph is shown in front of the boss. Then he will do a breath attack in front. This is pretty easy to dodge. The tail of the boss will glow, then slam the ground on his backside multiple times. Front of the boss is safe. The boss will spin and show multiple blue telegraphs on the ground, then showcase a telegraph where inside is safe. If you get hit by the blue telegraphs, you will get imprisoned and party members will have to free you. In addition, if anyone is hit by the blue telegraph, the boss will teleport attempting to grab you, noted by a yellow telegraph. If no one gets hit, the boss will follow up with a counterattack. The boss will glow, then slam the ground, showcasing a fog that will move out. If you get hit by the fog, you will be imprisoned and someone will have to free you. At the start of this attack, move away from the boss. When the fog gets close to you, use spacebar to move past the fog. At the end of this attack, the boss will show a red telegraph where inside is safe. The following patterns are grab attacks that can occur throughout the fight. Getting grabbed by any of these patterns will give you a 2-minute devour debuff. The boss will disappear and you will see multiple telegraphs on the ground. The boss will attempt to grab someone 3 times in total. Look at the minimap and stay away from the boss. Another variant of this attack is when the screen darkens. Everyone should stack at 6 o'clock. The boss will attempt to grab someone. If no one gets grabbed, the boss will appear again and show a distinct aura. If any player starts moving when the boss appears again, the boss will grab that player. The boss will do a slash attack in front, then perform an attack where he will grab you and throw you on the ground. The following patterns are counterattacks that can occur throughout the fight. Some of these attacks become enhanced later on. The boss will stab multiple times in front of him, then glow blue for a counterattack. The boss will do a slash attack 3 times in total, then step back and glow blue for a counter. The boss will charge forward while glowing yellow. Press G to block the attack. If no one blocks the attack, the boss will appear again for a second chance to block the attack. If you block the first or second time, the boss will then glow blue for a counterattack. The following patterns are specific to Phase 2 only. The boss will do a breath attack while rotating 180 degrees. Then he will spit out orbs on the ground that have a lingering flame which deals heavy tick damage. The boss will flap his wings then disappear. Multiple tornadoes will spawn on the map that can follow you. If you get hit by the tornado, you will turn into a yo-ho for a long time. At the end of this attack, the boss will land near a random player, shown as a red telegraph that is inside safe. The boss will glow yellow and spawn orbs that rotate around him, with a telegraph that is slowly reaching the edge. When a telegraph is about to reach the edge, press G to block the attack. Afterwards, a piece of telegraph will be shown. If you fail to block the attack, or if you stand in the pizza, you will turn into a yo-ho. At the start of this attack, you can spacebar to the outside to avoid the entirety of this attack. The boss will spawn clones that will spin, in addition to the boss spinning as well. Then the boss will do a follow-up AoE attack where inside is safe. Finally, the boss will slam the ground with a pizza attack on his left and right side. Front and back of the boss is safe. Now we will dive into Phase 3 patterns. The boss will spawn clones that spin, in addition to the boss spinning as well. Then the boss will spin again with a large AoE attack where inside is safe. Finally, he will slam the ground, showing a piece of telegraph. Left or right of the boss is safe. The boss will do a breath attack just like in Phase 1, but afterwards he will turn around and do another breath attack. The boss will show a dark aura around him, then disappear. Multiple dark puddles will occur, in addition to yellow circles that will decrease meter if you step on them. In a moment, the boss will teleport to a random player and glow blue for a counterattack. The boss will show multiple puddles on the ground. Every player will have an icon above their head. One player will have a black icon, and another player will have a red icon. The boss will always turn their aggro to the player with the red icon. In addition, there will be a yellow safe zone near the boss. The player with the black icon needs to stand inside the safe zone, and the player with the red icon needs to stand behind the player with the black icon so that the boss is facing the safe zone. In a moment, the boss will grab the player with the black icon. If this is not done correctly, everyone will take massive damage. The boss will show a red piece of telegraph with safe spots that will alternate. Then the boss will glow yellow. Press G to block the attack right before the boss slams the ground. The boss will do a stab attack in the diagonal direction, then cardinal direction. Afterwards, he will glow blue for a counterattack. The last attack I want to go over is very dangerous and can potentially cause the raid to restart. The boss will plant his tendrils on the ground and show multiple cracks on the ground. Standing in these cracks will give you an infection debuff and can stun you. If anyone gets stunned, the boss will perform a very large yellow telegraph attack where inside is safe. Then afterwards, a red ring-safe telegraph will occur. The grab itself will basically kill you without prior care from support. It does a massive amount of damage. I recommend to move far away from the boss when you have identified this attack so that no one gets grabbed. In addition, some players can bring Scarecrow Battle Item and use it right when the attack starts. And finally, I will wrap up the guide by going over Sidereal Usage for Gate 2. The first time you would use Sidereal will be whenever Nineveh and her follow-up skill is available. Sometimes it may be up prior to the 235 mechanic, but if it's not available until the end of the 235 mechanic, Use Nineveh right when the boss is about to slam the ground at the end of the mechanic. This will give you enough time to use the follow-up skill if Phase 2 transition starts right after 235. Use the follow-up skill right before your camera zooms back in. The second time you would use Sidereal will be during the second time mechanic during Phase 2. Depending on if meter is above or below 50%, the boss will appear in the center or top of the map. Wait for the back and front attack indicator to be shown, then use the Mystic Sidereal. This will trigger a special interaction which allows a good window to deal damage. The last Sidereal is a choice between Nineveh or Mystic, and you would use it at any point in Phase 3. I recommend to use it during Belgano's timed pattern since the boss is standing still the entire time. And that will conclude the guide for Mordum Gate 2. If you have enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I will try to release the Gate 3 guide as soon as I can. As always, thanks for watching and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.